Do you think, Coleman, while we're here, we could get out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing as a field?
Yeah.
Are you on?
When you're
Go
ready,
anytime?
we are
Well,
recording.
go. Just let it fly, man. Let's hear all about Nasrudin.
Oh, you want to do the out beyond?
Out beyond.
Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense.
Great.
You sure? Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you just speak a little bit more just for the...
So Nasrudin has a donkey.
Yeah, we got this.
Always has a donkey.
So, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, let's go. Let's hear some Nasrudin. We want to know all about Nasrudin. What's he got to say?
Nasrudin has a donkey. He puts a for sale sign around his neck and takes it to the market. The first customer that comes up, the donkey bites him. The second customer comes up, he kicks him. The third, he butts. A bystander nearby has seen it all. He said, Nasrudin, you're never going to be able to sell that donkey. He said, oh, he's not really for sale. I just like for people to see what I have to put up with. So Nasrudin is coming through town with his son, and they're leading a donkey, and the people in the town say Nasrudin and his son do not know the proper use of a donkey. The next day, Nasrudin and his son come through town. Nasrudin is leading the donkey, and his son is riding, and the people in the town say Nasrudin does not know the dignity proper to fatherhood. The next day, Nasrudin and his son come through town, and Nasrudin is riding, his son is leading the donkey, and the townspeople say, big shot Nasrudin. The next day, Nasrudin and his son come through town carrying the donkey. That's the one he didn't laugh at. But
I know it's
I have another one that...
Andromeda guys, you know.
I have, the Andromeda strain, they're here. I have another Nasrudin joke that nobody has ever laughed at. Nasrudin has a magic wand, and he conjures up a patent office with a man sitting behind the desk. Nasrudin says, I would like to get a patent on this magic wand. The man behind the desk says, we don't give patents on that new age paraphernalia. So Nasrudin waves the wand, and the man disappears. He's the first one that's ever laughed at the joke. Except for me, I laugh at the joke. Let's see. Nasrudin.
Okay.
Nasrudin goes to buy a prize rooster, and he pays a large price for it, brings it back to his farmyard, and it begins servicing the hens in his farmyard, and then moves on to the ducks and the geese and the dog and the sheep and the cow. And Nasrudin comes out and says, I did not pay such an exorbitant price for you to have you make a chaos of my farm, and besides, if you don't quit this relentless sexual activity, you're going to kill yourself. The rooster pays no attention. The next day, Nasrudin looks out the window and sees the rooster flat on his back, dead. A buzzard is circling down. He comes out to lecture the corpse one last time. I told you. The rooster opens one eye. He says, shh. When you're romancing a buzzard, you have to play it their way. Nasrudin, let's see. Nasrudin is on a train, and the conductor comes by taking up the tickets, and Nasrudin looks in his pants pocket, looks in his briefcase, he looks in his hat band, he starts looking in other people's briefcases and baggage, He can't find it, and the conductor says, Nasrudin, you often travel this train. I know you have your ticket. Why don't you look in your top left-hand coat pocket? That's where most people put their ticket. He says, don't even mention that. If it's not there, I have no hope. Nasrudin knows the importance of getting enough exercise. He says, my mother began walking 5 miles a day when she was 60 years old. And now she's 90, and we have no idea where she is. Let's see. No.
I just want to do one shot with sitting with him for our Nasrudin story, because this is probably, I think I know where it's going to come in.
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's going to be cool. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Nasrudin walks into a shop, and the man comes forward to tend to him, and Nasrudin says, wait a minute, first things first. Have you ever seen me in my life? He says, no, I haven't. He says, well, how did you know it was me? Oh, it's not that funny.
It is! For me?
Okay. Let's see. Nasrudin. The way you tell Nasrudin jokes, I've just learned from a man in Turkey who knew hundreds of them, and you let each one, you're just in conversation about, you know, people giving birth or something, and the Nasrudin jokes come out of the conversation.
Ah, right.
So,
right.
but so it's hard just to line them up in a row here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they just
maybe.
Evolve out of conversation.
Yeah, that's the way you do it. And the people, and then somebody else has one, you know, and so just.
And they're still doing this.
Oh, they're doing it. I started telling Nasrudin jokes in Afghanistan, and they just took over.
Oh, really?
You know, I mean, they had hundreds of them. I just shut up, you know, and let them talk.
This is even today.
Even today, yeah. Well, in March of 2005.
That's when you were in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Ah.
That's when I got this cap.
Oh, that's where you got it, on Chicken Road.
Chicken Street.
On Chicken Street.
Kabul,
in Kabul, yeah. Oh, yeah. Which must be a very chicken street, different from the one I went to.
Oh, no chickens hanging on the street now.
What about Nasrudin and sex?
Well, let's see, Nasrudin.
I mean, you must have some great sex jokes.
Let's see.
I mean, we had the buzzard and the.
The buzzard.
That was good. But what about humans?
Let me think. Hold on, I've got a list. I mean.
Momento love song too. That's incredible. What a technology.
Can you see these pages? You don't want to see the pages.
No problem. I can cut it out.
Okay.
Okay. When you're ready.
Nasrudin is on Hollywood Squares. Do you know that program? No. Oh, it's an American TV program. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
And the question comes to him. Nasrudin is on Hollywood Squares. And the question comes to him about the 1950s. It's the time of the hula hoop and the yo-yo and the Davy Crockett hat. Who was president then? Nasrudin thinks a bit, and then he says, I'll have to say the yo-yo. That makes a lot more sense when Bush was president.
Bush was president.
Right.
More.
Nasrudin is on an uninhabited tropical island. It's a long story how he got there. I won't go into that. But he's there with enough food, berries, fruit, small game, fish. He can survive comfortably. He's just very lonely, and he has no hope of ever getting off the island that he's marooned on. But a ship comes and takes him away, and he and the captain are leaning on the rail looking back at the island, and looking at it, and there are 3 huts along the beach. And the captain says, "What are those, Nasrudin?" He says, "Well, the one on the left was where I lived. The one in the middle was my church." I said, "What's that one on the right?" He said, "That's the church I used to go to." So, Nasrudin has a grocery store, and a customer comes in and wants to buy some salt, and Nasrudin says, "What kind of salt would you like?" The man says, "You know, I didn't know there were different kinds of salt. I thought there was just one kind." And Nasrudin says, "No, my son, you have a lot to learn." So he takes him down in the basement, and there are barrels and barrels of salt, different kinds of salt: Yukon tundra salt, Salt Lake salt, Scottish malt salt, wonderful dog salt, cat salt, rat salt, bat salt, every kind of salt that you can imagine, even a golden glowing barrel that is full of the salt wherewith the salt be salted. And the man says, "I had no idea. You must have an enormous volume of salt flowing through the store." And Nasrudin says, "No, I'm really not any good at selling salt. But that guy that sells it to me, that guy can sell some salt."
One or two more?
Yeah. Nasrudin is drunk. He leaves the tavern. It's 4 a.m. He's wandering about town, and the police stop him and say, "Nasrudin, why are you wandering aimlessly about town at this hour of the night?" Nasrudin says, "Sir, if I knew the answer to that question, I would have been home hours ago."
I remember that one, yeah.
Yes. Nasrudin takes a tuna fish sandwich to work for lunch every day. And every day he takes one bite out of it and spits it out and says, "Yuck." His coworker says, "Nasrudin, why don't you have your wife make a different kind of sandwich for you?" He says, "Oh, my friend, it's not so simple. I'm not married. I make these for myself." Nasrudin, a man asked Nasrudin, "How's your wife?" He says, "I don't know. I haven't talked to her in 3 weeks." "Why? Is she sick?" "No," he says, "I just don't like to interrupt."
That's a hard hitter.
Nasrudin makes an old friend on the street. They haven't seen each other in a long time. The friend says, "Nasrudin, how have you been?" He says, "I've been really great. Have you been reading the papers?" "Yes." He says, how else would I know?" Nasrudin and I are out walking. It begins to rain. And I notice that he has an umbrella with him. I say, "Nasrudin, why don't you put your umbrella up?" He says, "Oh, it's all in shreds, it's broken, it's no good." I said, "Why did you bring it?" He said, I didn't think it would rain." One more. Nasrudin is a little behind in his funding. He goes to the prosperous part of town and knocks on the door and says, "I have many different talents. I'm trying to make some money. Do you have any kind of jobs that I could do around here?" They say, "Well, as a matter of fact, I have a porch in the back that needs painting." He says, "Oh, I'm a very good painter." He brings him this green deck paint, takes it around back, and in about 30 minutes he comes back and he's through. The man pays him the $50 they had agreed on, and he says, "You're a really very fast worker." He says, "I told you I'm good at this." And as he's walking away, he turns around and he says, "But sir, I'd like to tell you something. That's not a Porsche. That's a Ferrari." Okay, that's enough for Nasrudin.
Thank you for Nasrudin.
One thing I was just going to say possibly about Earth Pilgrims, if you've got anything you might want to put in the film of your own, any message of your own, if you've got
A
something
message of my own for the pilgrimage.
or a message that you'd like to share with the world, anything at all that
That's
comes
a
to
great
mind.
idea. Parting thoughts.
Of your own or of Rumi or whatever you feel, just anything at all.
The poetry of Rumi tries to take us into the region of the heart, and it tries to enlarge our idea of what that is. He says, if you see the beloved everywhere, then the lover becomes a veil. But when living itself becomes the friend, then lovers disappear. Somehow obviously Rumi's deep friendship with Shams of Tabriz was the source of his heart opening. But there is a place, it seems to be beyond relationship, that Rumi takes us into, where the heart is just the place we take our walks in. It's the place, the weather we walk in, and he says it's the heart is what anybody says. Astonishing. So he's trying to complicate and enlarge our view of what love poetry is, and the whole idea of who we open our hearts to. I don't know whether that's making any sense or not. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Not in the bus.
Yeah, I don't know if that's working, but no. Anyway.
Thank you, Coleman. And one last thing, if possible, for my friend Kartika for her birthday, maybe you've got a Rumi poem you could address to her.
I'm still trying to get you laid, huh? There you go. It's a good use for the Rumi poetry. Let's see. Let's see. Katika. Katika. Katika?
Kartika.
Katika. Rumi says, "I would love to kiss you. The price of kissing is your life. Now my loving is running toward my life, shouting, what a bargain, let's buy it." Okay.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent. That's the one.
Okay.
Are we all done?
Thank you, Nasrudin.
For a second.